let's go through this problem together. So this one was asking for a rocket being shot over a lake, and we have this equation, and it's asking us when will the rocket hit the lake. So in other words, if we kind of like drew a picture, we would have our lake here, and it's getting shot off over here, and we're asking like when does it hit. And so this is asking for the x-intercept. And so you want to make sure that when you read the problem, you identify what you are solving for. And sometimes I like to draw the picture. Sometimes I just know based on the story. So wherever something's like hitting the ground or ending, that would be an x-intercept or root. If it asks you for like the maximum height or something like that, or the starting height, those would be different things. So this one is asking us for the x-intercept. And because this is pretty complicated and has big numbers, I want to use the quadratic formula to find my roots. So the first thing I want to do is identify a, b, and c. So my a value is always in front of the squared term. So my a value is -16. My b value is always in front of the x term, so 64. And my c value is my constant, which is 80. So now I want to go through and plug these in to the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is x equals -b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And so we are going to go through and plug these values in inside parentheses when we go through the quadratic formula. So we still have x equals, and then there's a negative sign, so I'm going to bring that with me, and then b inside parentheses. Then I have my plus or minus, square root, and now I have to plug b in again. Squared minus, this 4 is always there, so no matter what these are, that 4 is just part of the formula. And then a, and then c. All over 2 times a. So this is what it looks like plugged in, and so you can kind of look at your work compared to this work and see if you have those plugged in correctly. Make sure they're all in the correct spots, you don't forget any negatives, you didn't forget the squared, things like that. So once you know you have it plugged in correctly, then we want to start simplifying, and we kind of simplify it in 3 parts. So I simplify like this first part, and that just gives us -64. Then I have my plus or minus sign, and then I simplify this whole part. And you can plug that into a calculator. So I have my actual calculator here, but you can also just use Google's calculator. It'll work the same way. So we're going to do our square root, and then I need to put everything inside parentheses exactly as I have it written. If you write everything that you wrote down, you will be fine. So parentheses 64, parentheses squared. This is a minus sign, not a negative, so -4, parentheses -16, parentheses 80. So I typed exactly what I had written down, and that gives me 96. If it gives you an error, go back and double check your work. If you double check and you know everything is correct and it gives you an error, then it might have no solution. So you could write that. So ours was 96. All over, and then this third part we do separately as well. So 2 times -16 gives me -32. And once you simplify each of these three things, we want to split this into two parts. So this plus or minus sign in the middle, that separates this into two problems, a addition problem and a subtraction problem. So I'm going to rewrite this once with addition and once with subtraction. Negative 64 plus 96 over negative 32. And negative 64 minus 96 over negative 32. And now you can either put parentheses around the top and type it all in, or you can just type the top and hit equals before you do the bottom, which is what I like to do. So I do negative 64 plus 96, that's the top, divided by negative 32 is the bottom. So one of my answers is negative 1. X equals negative 1. Over here, hit equals after the top, divide by negative 32 to get positive 5. So x equals positive 5. Now, if we were just doing math isolated without a context, we would be done. These are our two solutions. However, this was asking for a rocket that was being launched. It said how long will it take the rocket to hit the ground. And in that case, we do not have negative time. So this is negative 1 second, this is 5 seconds. This cannot happen. So that means this is the only answer that makes sense. It takes us 5 seconds to hit the water. And that's your answer.